Welcome to my cake kitchen. I am Gladys and I love cake. Delaney, good morning. Whew, I'm Gladys, I love cake, and over here I make simple, informative tutorials to help you. If you love cake, you want to learn to make cake, I help you navigate baking, and not just baking, but decorating easily. There's Delaney, our little sister in front of the channel in the chat. Okay. Middle sister, Tabitha from Oregon is in the chat. Sis, how are you? Good morning. I know it's still morning wherever you are. Tabitha, I've got a confession. I think this is not permanent, but I have adjusted the time slightly to 2 p.m. UK time, only so that you can have an hour more sleep, because your 4 o'clock, 5 a.m. wake up is kind of doing my head in for you. So when I can shift it to a little hour later. That's not making excuses for my own lateness. No, actually, I had a very calm morning. I was editing, but I thought when I come at 1 o'clock, it means you are like an hour earlier than you really need to be. So let's try and get here an hour later. I think for now I can only make it up to 2 p.m. I couldn't do it any later. But hey, the school boys and girls are coming on a break, so I might be able to make further adjustment because the guy will be home with me. So I'll probably have to shift the live again for later. That's coming next week. We'll see. I've already made myself a cup of tea. Okay, so if you're just joining me, hello, Delaney, good morning, darling. How are you? How is brass band? I know you're on a break, but your summer starts really, your summer break is nearly over, or if it hasn't, because you have brass band and other things. So, oh, you're taking a driver's test today and you're scared. I think I'll be fine. And then tonight, me and my girlfriend are going to a fair. Okay, Delaney, come here. What time is your test? Whatever the test is, look at it this way. The car will never, that's the thing that helped me anyway. Remember this. The car will never ever do anything you haven't asked it to do. It won't run off. It won't veer off. It will only do the thing that you instruct it to do. And it will only go wrong if you allow your fear to get in the way. So if you sit in the car, okay, think about a very happy place. And just when you feel like you're panicking, just count 3 down. You go 3, 2, 1, happy place. And say a prayer. Good luck. Delaney, you'll be fine. I know you will be fine. But there is the rest of you who have joined me in the chat. Hey, hello in the house. Where are you all joining me from, and what are you all doing over there? Hello. We are not a tea drinking show, you know. I love tea, okay? And this is because I had a late breakfast. Great to have you. If you've just joined me, do me a favor whilst you're at it. Consider liking the video. That is if you find any value in it. There is Randy. Is it a good play for dad jokes? I mean, Randy, we are mums. There are mums and dads in the chat sometimes. So you know what? As long as it's not an inappropriate dad joke, we know nobody wants to hear dad jokes. More so for the kids. They don't want to hear it. So it's a safe space. Just let us hear. As long as it's not inappropriate, disrespectful, or out of place. But you never know it's out of place until it lands. So go ahead, Randy. Welcome to the stream. Okay? Is it a place for dad jokes? Why has it got to be dad jokes though? Okay? Right. If you've just joined me, yesterday we did a lot of things. Okay? Class is starting. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Yesterday we did this. We talked about these things. We made the subject as entertaining as it could be, okay? But these are very, very important materials in cake decorating. But if you don't make cakes, these will just seem so foreign to you. So if you were here yesterday, let's do a recap of yesterday's lessons. People in the chat, what's the difference between a cake board, also known as a cake drum, and a cake card? Let's go. Because today we are going to be talking about something similar but slightly different. Hey, Lollipop. Okay. Lollipop says the thickness. So the difference between a cake drum and a cake card is the thickness. What am I cooking, Neon? Neon, I'm not cooking. I'm here to teach you some of the materials that are used in cake decorating for best results. And yesterday, we are just recapping what we did yesterday so we can continue from there. So yesterday, we talked about cake cards. And the primary difference between a cake drum or cake board and a cake card is the thickness. A cake drum is thicker in base width here, and a cake card is thinner. We also know the functions of a cake card, as in this material here, is it provides stability, helps the cake to form, as in helps the shape of the cake, and primarily assists in stacking. It has the added benefit of aiding cutting your cake conveniently and distributing it, but that is post making the cake. But in the decorating process, it primarily aids stability and also helps the cake form. In terms of stability, how does it do that? It helps to stabilize the cake by, first of all, helping to keep the cake formed so that in moving and transporting or handling the cake is not exposed. So it seals the cake in from the bottom up depending on how you use it. That is, if it's set at the base of the cake at the time of stacking. You might want to go and see a full-on decorating video, some of which I recommended yesterday. But if you've been on this channel, you should find endless video on the channel showing you some of my decorating processes, even in shorts form. And I mean, the specific place you will see the cake card being used is the starting phases of the decorating process, where the cake card is used to place on the base of the cake before the layers of cake are stacked. So you might want to go and check those videos out. Auntie Jackie is in the chat. Yay, Auntie Jack. How are you, my dear? I hope you're very well. Great to have you back. We had such a great session yesterday discussing cake cards and cake drums. And we are just recapping that before we move on to what we are discussing today. So, Barbara, hello. Barbara says, don't stick your finger in your ear or what? Okay, Barbara, thank you very much. But Barbara, have you seen me handling food over here? Have you seen me touching food except for my cup of tea? But anyway, I hear you, Barbara, okay? I don't know if anyone remembers. This is in primary school. We used to have chocolate tart, and it was so good, but I can't find the recipe anywhere. Ramen. Seasonings. Hi, lovely. Great to have you back. Auntie Jackie says, I am very well. Great. Good to know. I am so pleased you're here today. My people, we were discussing these yesterday. Cake drums, cake cards, cake boards, and all of those. If you have, today we are in what I normally would call a cake class. Okay? Cake class where we talk about the specific materials that are part of the cake decorating process. Because unless you understand how we use these things in cake decorating, you might see me transitioning through different phases of the cake decorating process, but you may not have a fuller understanding. So I just thought I will cover some of the basics of the materials that are used in cake decorating, the reason for using them in the process, and then when we transition to the beginner basics, because I've gotten a lot of feedback on using on making beginner basics decorating videos, and I intend to cover that in the not so distant future. So this is just like some sort of preset information and resources for you to come back to when we eventually get to the decorating basics, because all of those are important. And for today, our most important thing we are discussing today is Ganache plates or discs and shapers, formers, and generally Ganache discs. We'll be delving into some other forms of discs and formers for your cakes in terms of shapes and other things. So stick with me. But here's where I say, if you are an advanced baker and you kind of feel like this subject is very boring for you, look, we don't mind. You can move on and go do something exciting for yourself and then come back another day. But I will also want to just say, we are also a community here that even when we are having a serious conversation about cakes and subjects related to cakes, sometimes we make detours and we have real human conversations. So we are not just here talking about cakes. And I ask that for the new people, every time I show up here, I am blessed with the privilege of having loyal people who have stuck with me. I mean, we are headed to 9K, and most of the people who are already in the chat are people who have stuck with me. So at least they know a thing or two about me, and most importantly, they understand the lay of the land and understand our values here, which is that, you know what, we have very, very strong values here, but we are more so respectful of everybody. So whilst you're here, if it's your first time here, you're welcome. We hope you have a great experience. Primarily, we hope that by the end of this video, our objective is that you've learned a thing or two about cake making or cake decorating that will enhance your knowledge and skill of making or baking cakes. If you don't make or bake cakes, we hope at the end of the session, not only would you have learned a thing or two about cake making and cake decorating that might inform you in your buying or purchasing decisions about cake, but most importantly, you will come to the understanding that whilst the internet can be a very dark place, okay, we have a small community out here on this side of the internet that engages and can be respectful of each other whilst upholding real human values like kindness and consideration and generally common sense. So all I ask you to do is, whilst you're in the chat, please be respectful of each other, and more so perhaps for me, okay? Because sometimes you'll have somebody just shoot up in the chat, and sometimes you can't control who comes in, even though we can determine who stays and who goes, because if you're too rude, we will block you, okay? So I'm just putting that out there. But that said, let's move on to class and say the difference between the cake card and cake drum is primarily the thickness. So yesterday we covered an hour and a half of information surrounding cake cards, cake drums, and cake boards, their uses, functions, and most importantly, why you should choose one for a specific task when necessary. So you can go and check those out. But outside of that, we have also these ones. Show by hands if you've seen a Ganache disc or a cake shaper or former before. Show by hands. Lollipop says she needs a nap. Lollipop, do you? Show by hand. Has any of you seen any of these clear plastics that I'm showing you? They are acrylic disc. Tapeta hasn't. Okay, yeah, seasonings has. Seasonings. In what context have you seen those, and what do you use them for? Would you know? Lasso Kid is back. Lasso Kid, great to have you back. Okay, like, let's say I'm gonna pick up, like yesterday we have item 1, item 2, and let's get the one closeness. Item 3. Oh, clear ones, no. Okay, seasoning says the clear ones, no. Tapita says, I've seen square cake boards, but not the acrylic stuff, just the boards. Okay, that's fine. So we're all used to boards. not the acrylic ones. I'll be delving into the acrylic, but let's make a quick detour back to the cake boards, because the cake boards, the functions of the cake board, an additional function of the cake board will tie in closely with the acrylic board. And I'll say, whilst yesterday we determined that cake boards and cake cards perform different functions primarily in the cake decorating process and also the handling and transfer of cakes, we also determined what they do in the post cake making process, where they assist in how you display your cake, and also using the cake card in terms of helping to cut and conveniently distribute the cake. That aside, cake cards, especially these ones, because yesterday we determined that these ones, even though they are very useful in the decorating process, they are very limiting in terms of how strong they are in enabling stability of the cake. So ideally, this is more set in preference. Ideally, if you want to use a cake card, you want to limit that to a 1-tier cake, because it's small. You can use a 1-tier cake, is not going to cause you problems. Whereas if you're dealing with tiered cakes, you want to swap the place of a cake card for a cake drum. So a cake drum performs different functions, whereas a cake card can be very limited. I should also add here that when you buy your cake commercially, as in commercially produced cake, you don't get to decide what board and cards will aid stability. And because commercially produced cakes are not like heavy, the sponges do not show up so heavy. It's almost normal that if you bought a commercial cake from a bakery, it may be displayed on a card that is set in the cake box when it's delivered to you. I've had that, but it's not this flimsy card. It's sort of something similar to, let me show you. Something similar to this. You won't be getting a cake drum per se. So the information about that is all too available for you to check. That said, cake cards perform a very specific function also when you are attempting to get clean straight lines. So they are not just in the cake decorating process where they aid stability. They also help you to get clean lines. And I think when we transition into the later videos where I am showing you how to make cakes and to derive sharp, clean edges on your shaped cakes, you will see. But I need you to remember, if you're here today, that cake cards play a very important role as a beginner if you are attempting to get very clean lines on your cake, in that you can use them as you would use ganache plates. Ganache plates work the same for getting sharp edges. I think some days I've asked myself why they were specifically created, but I think it's because they are reusable. Remember that. But you can use cake cards to get yourself clean, fine lines. How can you do that? I don't have the cakes to demonstrate today because I didn't come to class thinking of demonstrating that, but I would just show you what I'm saying in sort of theory so that you can understand. Yesterday we found, I'm just looking for the 5-inch cards if you like. Yep. Yesterday we determined that my smallest cake size is the 5-inch, but cake sizes can go as low as 4 inches and less, if I don't know if there is a pot for those. But imagine this is a 5-inch card. I could choose to have this at the base of my cake and then stack the rest of the cake on it. Now, we determined yesterday that by so doing, one of the things I can't do then is use a scraper to set against the card, turn on the turntable, just to help the cake form a little bit. Now, one of the ways you can use the cake card to get straight edges on the cake is after you've stacked your cake. Remember, your cake card is sitting on your board surface. You've glued the cake to the card with the card sitting on a board surface. After stacking your cake, however tall the cake is, you can then place a card like this on top of your cake and then align these two, if you like. And then when you apply your buttercream, you can scrape along. I have a full-on demonstration on my channel in long form showing you. It's called the double card method. And to stop you scraping this all together and kind of ruining the edges of this, you want to wrap this in what you call either cling film. Cling film does have downsides because cling film wraps and folds very quickly, so it can leave the edges wrinkled. You want to make sure that if you do choose the double card method, your card is not wrinkled, because the whole principle of using that is to make sure the card aligns perfectly with the bottom card. So by adding extra material, you might just be ruining the edge that you were going for, which is a very clean, straight edge. So an additional thing that cake cards do is to help you get a clean shape and fine lines to your cake. That's just set in principle. When we come to the practical aspect of it, I will show you how to do that. But you can check. You can check in videos that I have already created here. I will link some in the description box for you. So I just wanted to cover that quickly before we move to using the Ganache disc. So after explaining what the cake cards can do, we can almost transition to saying Ganache discs do the same things. But there's a broader conversation to have about why you need Ganache discs in the first place. Because not only are they an added cost, it's an added skill to kind of understand the way they are used and how to use them, okay? And I've already said this is some of the boring aspects of cake decorating. Believe me when I say it's so dull, but if you understand how to do all of this, cake decorating should come very, very easy for you. I'm gonna have to stop and see who is in the chat. Savi is back. Savi was here yesterday. Savi, great to have you back. Okay, Lollipop is saying, I've tried the double card method, and I will try the double card next time if I remember. Here's what you have to remember. Some of these things are just for the purposes of learning and information collection. You don't always need all of those, right? I don't always use a double card method for my cakes. But that's because I've done it for a very long time. But you know what? If you're a beginner and you just want to get your skill right and to learn how to get the best out of your cake decorating process, then yes, why not? So it is more so that the information is available as a resource for you to come back to if you need it. But for most part, you probably have to learn the skill by repetition, doing the same thing over and over again, and then when you master it, you can build up on it. I think trying to overwhelm yourself by doing everything that you've learned can be a little bit overwhelming, and I won't recommend that or advise that for you at all. Okay, by the way, that said, now who's heard about Ganache discs? The name sort of gives it away, but if you've heard about Ganache discs, put a hand up in the chat. Let's see. Ganache discs. Who has heard? Have you heard about Ganache discs? 7 inches. Lollipop said. Okay. Tabitha said, I only know about drum and boards, but not the discs. Yes, she's okay. It's you were asking about the little baby. This is the first time you're hearing about Ganache discs. Okay, so that's not a bad thing then. It almost goes to show there is always something new to learn, if you like. Right. So for most of you, I guess you haven't heard about Ganache discs before. And this is the first time you're hearing about ganache discs. Okay. Ganache discs are what you call decorating aids, as in you can learn the skill of doing something by repetition and failing and repeating, or you can employ a tool. So ganache discs are primarily decorating aids. And the decorating aids, their main function is to help you form the shape of a cake or the size of a particular cake and help you form it right. But most importantly, it is because these aids are reusable. Earlier when I was talking about using cake cards to shape your cakes and to aid stability and all of those things, ganache discs are primarily for helping you get a fine form and finish to your cake with clean lines. Like the cake boards, cake cards, and cake drums, they come in different shapes and sizes. If you can think of any size of cake right now, ganache discs come in all of those. We have the 5-inch here, we have a 7-inch, these are circles, we have the square over here, and you'll find that they are bought in pairs. There's a reason for that, and I'll tell you why. So we have the circles and the square, but most importantly, we have them in different shapes too. We have the scallops, which is what we have here. Who has seen a scallop-shaped cake before? If you haven't seen a scallop-shaped cake, this is what a scallop-shaped cake. Sometimes you can have the scallop in very small shapes or broader shapes, as you can see over here. And for you to get shaped cakes, when we discussed cake pans and cake tins, we discussed the shape and sizes of cake pans and cake tins. We also spoke about novelty pans, and then we talked about specific odd or irregular shaped pans that you can buy. So yes, if you wanted a scallop shaped cake, you can go and buy yourself a pan or hire a cake pan that will get the shape of the cake. But when you come to decorating a scallop cake and you are aiming for very fine, clean lines to the scallops as this shape requires, you might need an aid, and that is where ganache discs come in. I will caveat that by also saying, most importantly, remember, for everything we can do with a ganache disc, you can almost do the same with a cake card or a cake board. The only advantage is that ganache discs, well, that is if it's an advantage. Ganache discs are easier and sometimes convenient, and they are reusable. But I will say that is also within context, because I have done the double board method for decorating cakes much easier than I have preferred ganache discs. But it's also important that I give you the information about the use of ganache discs, what they are, their functions, the advantages of them, and probably the disadvantage, so that you can exercise the choice between whether you want to go for a ganache disc or you want to settle for a cake card or cake board. In the meantime, if you're a complete beginner, please don't shoot out of the door to go buy yourself ganache discs, because they come as extra cost. You will have to master the skill of using them, but for convenient purposes, you might want to start with cake cards if you really want to go down that route, and then you can transfer the skills from there when you make an investment into your ganache discs. That said, we don't just have them in scallop shapes. Gosh, you can also have them in different shapes. Like, for instance, there is the heart shaped here. As you can see, I have the heart shape. I think this is a 6-inch and this is a 5-inch. I don't even remember. Yeah, this is a 6-inch heart. This is a 5-inch heart. And then I have a 7-inch heart over there. And then we have the hexagon. We have I think this is a 6-inch hexagon or a 7-inch, one of them. And then a 9-inch hexagon. So there you have it. So my point is, you can have ganache discs in different shapes and sizes that will help you shape up your cake right. Now, the reason why you buy ganache discs in pairs are that you are going to need them as pairs to use, as I was demonstrating with the double card method. You need one card on the one disc on the bottom, and then you align the one on top. I think I have, are they more difficult? It's neither here nor there. I would say. It's all about the skill, how you perceive it, how you master it, and how it goes. Oneka. Oneka. Is it Oneka or Oneka? It's not so much it's difficult to use. It just depends on how. Sometimes in cake decorating, convenience matters. What is this tool called? There is Lollipop, help me out. There's a company that creates. It's a quick question. We'll be back to this. There's a company that creates. It's very popular on the internet. It's the name is in my head. I can't, like, it's just escaped me. But Lollipop, help me out. It's a company that creates cake decorating aids where you pour the ganache onto it. You create a whole thing, like, and then you pour the ganache and it sets, and then you pop the cake out and it's all like done for you. What's the name? Gosh, it will come to me. The only reason the reason why I make reference to that particular product is that in cake decorating, when I see that product on the market, it all sounds great until you are in a situation where you are decorating, say, 4 different cakes within a specific time, and you have just the one tool to help you. It can be awfully difficult. So one tool doesn't solve a cake decorating problem. Just because it's a decorating aid doesn't mean it's going to be the one miracle thing that will help you achieve success. What you have to do is frost form. Thank you. Frost. I love frosted cake. Okay. I love cakes. Say it with me. I love cakes. Frosted cakes. Yeah, frost form. Right. Okay. Keep that notion about frost form in mind. Keep it in mind, and I'll tell you why I brought frost form in the conversation. So, answering Lollipop, the ganache discs are sometimes a little depending on what you're doing. It can be a little bit like inconvenient and seems a little difficult, but if you look at what you're trying to achieve in terms of your objectives and goals and the process, sometimes you just have to go with it. So it's neither here nor there. A detour. The reason why I mentioned frost form in this conversation is that frost form has become the decorating aid that seems like a miracle tool to help you get best results. And if you don't know what frost form is, at the end of this video, you can go and have a look and see what we mean. In simplistic terms, it is a decorating tool that promises to help you get sharp, clean edges quickly. And it's a tool that is set in a way that, go check it out. And for every beginner who starts cake decorating, and those things are not cheap, you know, frost form products, it's not like, it's not a £20 product, okay? I think for one set of items, you're looking at something about £40 to £50. I haven't even bought one myself, okay? And that's because when I look at that product, I think to myself, it is selling a dream that is not set in reality. In that, when you're a cake maker and you have cakes going out, you're going to make that huge investment into learn how to decorate cakes manually, okay? Whatever you do, learn how to decorate cakes by hand, and then employ the tool where necessary, because you'll find that the tools are helpful, but they are not the actual solution to the problem. The problem may be your limited skill, which you might have to improve or advance on, okay? But whatever you do, just learn the thing manually. Look, I am up for convenience any day. I live for convenience. And I'm not one of those people that says, these people suffered hard or are old school. This old school, new school thing is not for me. If it's new school and it works, let's move on from the old school thing. Do you know what I mean? But in cake decorating, here's the best lesson I was taught. Learn it right. Understand what you're doing manually. Because you know what? Baking is a science. Decorating is an art. And you have to use initiative, imagination, and just raw skill. And if you don't understand that and you just start by cutting corners, when your cake is melting in the summer heat, okay, and the buttercream is not working out because you do not understand the ingredients that came together to make your buttercream, and yet you saw some tutorial online that says this is a quick fix to getting a straight edged cake. When the cake is melting, that person who put the tutorial out won't be out here to answer your questions or help you out. That's all. That's my tangent for the morning. Let's see. Damien said, oh man, she reminds me of them African nurses. Is that a good thing, Damien? Is that a good thing? That's what I'm asking. Damien, is that a good thing? Them African nurses, is it? Damien, you better watch what you're saying over there before we beat you. Tell us what they are like. Well, if it's not a good thing, come and tell us what they are like. Because first of all, I am no nurse, okay? I make cakes. Damien, who hurt you? Did an African nurse hurt you? Anyway, back to the subject of ganache discs. You buy ganache discs in pairs, okay? Because you need one for the base and then one for the align at the top for alignment. Damien, yes, very good. They were my favorite and they were very funny. Did they give you jollof rice? No, I'm kidding. Damien says yes. Damien says I remind him of the African nurses, and turns out it's a compliment and it's a good thing. And here's the question: did they give you jollof rice? And by the way, Africa is a continent, so which nationality of Africans were you dealing with? Were you dealing with Nigerians, Ghanaians, or which ones? We're just curious people. You brought the whole thing to the community, the village center for a chat. So let's talk about it, Damien, okay? Tabitha says she will nurse us back to... I'll give you food. Look. How good... Cake in moderation is good for your health, you know. A bit of sugar to boost your blood sugar levels can't be a bad thing. I'm not saying go and gobble cake for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay? I will be the first to say, no, don't do that. But a bit of, I'm a hypocrite anyway. I eat them almost every day. I mean, you baked the thing, so why shouldn't you eat it, Lollipop? You are no hypocrite. You just throw some vegetables in it. It's got eggs, which is protein. What else has it got? It's got sugar, which has got carbohydrate. Where is the vitamins? Just add some carrot to it. And then you have carrot cake. Look at me. Okay. You have to buy ganache discs in pairs, most importantly. But here's a small detail about ganache discs you should know. When you buy ganache discs, you don't buy them in the exact shape of your cake. There's an allowance made for the size of the cake by 1/4.5 an inch to the size. So for instance, when you buy ganache discs and you want a ganache disc for a 6-inch cake, bear in mind, this is a 5-inch. Bear in mind, my smallest cake is a 5-inch, right? You buy the ganache disc, when you look at the details on the website or wherever you're buying it from whatever distributor, when you look, you will see that the measurement is either 6.25 or 6.5, which is 6.25, 6-inch and a quarter, or 6-inch and a half. And it is very important that you consider getting the 6.25 or 6.5, There's a reason for that. And I'm just using 6 as an example. It can be 5 1/4, 4 1/4, 7 1/4, 9 1/4. Anything, the size of the cake plus 1/4 or 1/2 of the inch of the cake. The simple reason that is because when you come to cake decorating, if you use the cake card, for instance, for some of us who like to trim our cakes, this is where, like, this is very technical, but stay with me because I am hoping I will be able to demonstrate this specifically in future videos. But there are already videos on my on here that will show you what I'm saying. I like to trim my cakes. So imagine I have a 5-inch cake. I have a cake card of 5-inch. I set the cake card on the base of the cake to stack my cakes on. Because I have to trim the cake, I have the added advantage of losing some bits of the size of the cake. Not so much for it to make a huge difference on the cake, but just enough to have a clean surface to work with. And on that note, I am able to also control how much allowance I can have between the cake and the card. Remember, the function of the card is not just to create stability, but also to help the cake keep form and shape well. Remember that part. So to be able to keep the form and shape of the cake, if say I stack a 5-inch cake on a cake card, it's like there is no allowance anymore, right? And then I go to add the buttercream or ganache on the cake. Sometimes, depending on how you do that, your buttercream will then edge out of the card. And that is where you lose the form of your cake. That's a good situation for your cake to be slightly deformed, not well formed, and wonky in terms of structure. Remember that. But to be able to correct that or set that well from the start, by trimming the cake, I can create an allowance between my cake here and the card over there, and that small gap or that small allowance created naturally because I trim my cakes becomes the gap into which my buttercream will go. So eventually when I come to scraping the cake with my scraper over here, all I'm doing is working within the allowance and the cake card. So the cake is here, there's a slight allowance there. That is where my buttercream will go. So eventually I'm still staying within the circumference of the cake. Does that make sense? Is that too technical? Let's see what you people are saying over there. Tatiana is back. You just woke up. Well, you just come back from Alaska, chasing the moose around and having fun. Do you want to go back? Welcome to the stream anyway. It's an early morning. Jackie is back. Jackie made a quick detour over there. She's back. Jackie, we're still here. Today we're covering the boring subject of cake materials, their functions, and what they do in the decorating process. Because all of these should add up to helping one achieve better success in their cake decorating. Tatiana says she wants to go back for sure. Could do some river fishing and walking on the beach. Oh, okay. Tatiana, Girls Prefect is out here winning, you know. Girls Prefect, I can't swim. And when it comes to jumping on the water, you will have to be God to make me walk like Peter on the sea. Oh, and I mean water body for this matter. You will literally have to be God, because I don't care how I trust you. I'm not getting in that water. I can't swim. I just cannot. But here's the good news. I'm fixing that. I've started taking swimming lessons. Don't be so sure though. Don't be so sure. I'll come back. I'll come back and tell you how it's going. Okay? I should make friends with otters. You know what? I think look, you know, sometimes they say you lose before you even start. I think when it comes to water and me, I lost it even before I thought it, because I think about the worst case scenario of being in the water. But since you can do, you know what? I have started. Okay, look at us making a detour to the left. Okay, people, come sit down. Let's have a chat. No, I seriously have started swimming lessons. Like, I am committed to it. Last week I went. I didn't want to say anything. I wanted to kind of get the hang of it and then come and shout to you. But you know what? We are here. So we are here. So I started last week and I actually did enjoy it. I did enjoy it. I felt like, you know, when you feel like you're the only one who doesn't know what you're doing in the water. Yeah. But I have to get past the embarrassment of that. And just do it. And I'm doing it for a very good reason, because my son can swim. His dad is a really good swimmer. And I think to myself, if he wanted to go and do something in the water with me and dad wasn't around, then that's a no. And I just felt like, for his sake, there's really no justification to just be sat here not doing it. So yeah, I've started taking my swimming lessons. So, you know, whilst you will not see me in a bikini or anything, if we ever got in the same space and there was a beach activity, I will be good sport, literally. Okay, that's good. Jackie, thank you. Yeah, I keep it, like, I have to go. He's with me. And especially when you have to put your head under the water, I literally have to think about my best, like, quote from the Bible to kind of keep me under that water, because it can be a scary experience when you really feel like you're scared of the water. But anyway, we're here. So I will come and tell you how far I am doing with that. Tabitha says, I do the same, Gladys. My husband doesn't swim, so I refuse taking my daughter to play and swim in the river unless I have one other swimmer. Yeah. So, look, when I can swim, you will know. When I can. And then when I learn to swim, the next thing will be to kind of conquer the bicycle. Okay? The bicycle. And then maybe I have just some really small little goals that I want to achieve outside of business. I mean, this is all consuming for me. I don't have time for anything else. Like, my morning starts at, let's say, 7, half 7, and it doesn't finish till 1 a.m. And for most of that, it's cake. It's cake. Whether I'm editing cake content, I'm researching for cake content, I'm standing here talking about cake. It's all, so cake is, I'm obsessed, okay? So I don't have time to do anything else, but I realize that that is not a healthy thing at all. Like, being able to have, like, I felt so good on Sunday when I went for the swim lesson. It was so, because suddenly there was also, where we went, we had also, there's a section, it's a public swimming place where you can take lessons and do stuff. So there's also, like, what do you call it? The tube thing that you ride. Look at me. You know, the tube thing, like when you go to a water park, the theme park, the tube thing that you ride in it. What is it called? Somebody put it in the chat. I did that a few times, like when you go and it kind of, you sit in it and then you roll around a snaky thing and then it takes you and then you fall out of it. I did that, and a few times, yeah, water slide. Thank you. I'm growing old, okay? The water slide. Yes. I know VD Cakes. I've seen her online. She makes some really, 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 really nice polished cakes. I think she's Nigerian. Yeah, VD Cakes. You can't miss VD Cakes though. She's everywhere on the internet. She's on TikTok. I don't think, she's not very prevalent on YouTube, but I know she's on Instagram and TikTok as well. Yeah, I love what she does over there. Let's just say your auntie out here is just, I just live in my little world. But yes, the people who create real good cakes, especially for minority groups like us who are creators, we see each other. I don't know her as in know her. I've never interacted with her, but I would say her content and what she provides is really good value and really good too. Yeah, praise. Yeah, we're talking about the water slide. So I went into the water slide, and it can be very scary because there are parts in the water slide where it's very dark. But I almost felt like every time the slide was going, even though I was fearful, I was able to kind of almost close my eyes and calm down and go to a place where I think when I decide, the day I really do decide to take my mobile phone detox, like internet life detox, seriously, I'm going to book myself into a theme park, a water park place, and just go and live in a cabin for 2 weeks and just wake up and go and jump in the water slides, because it can feel very like scary if you don't like water and you're not used to it and you see people going and coming. Like, it can feel very scary, but if you get into it, it's like it shifts your thinking. I was able to kind of keep calm, and for the very first time in a long time, I had the best night's sleep after that water, the swimming lesson and water activity. Because once I finished, I came home, and it was I felt so calm. I was like, I want to go back and do this again. So yeah, that's me and water. There's humor. Is it humor? I'm good, thank you. And you? Somebody's asking, how am I? I'm good. Great to have you. You'll get it. Water slides are so much fun. Yes, they are. I used to be scared of them. Maybe is the roller coaster water slide. I am still like side eyeing. I'm like, who invented that stuff? Who invented roller coaster water, like the one that people sit in it and then the water splashes on your face? And I'm like, you know what? I've only just started. So let's just say in 3 months' time, I'll come and give you the update of how that is going. Now, let's go back to Ganache this. That's the boring thing we came to learn. But let's just cover that real quick and leave it as that for today. Okay? I'd definitely rather be away. So, oh, don't go to water parks or water slides or anything. If you can't play in the river, I'm not getting wet. You know what, Tabitha? I don't know how I feel about the river yet. Because I think the water slides and the water park makes me think there's a lifeguard over there. Whereas, oh, okay, Humat. Is it hermit or humet? Hermit. You don't have that in your country. Critters are in the river. You know what? I am working my way through my fear of water, because if you grow up like I did, even if you willingly chose to go and learn how to swim or be around water bodies, you are almost dissuaded and discouraged not to do it, because it's a fearful place for most people. Like, it's not this thing where growing up your parents want you to learn to swim and be a skilled swimmer to save your life and all of that. It's like, please don't go near that water. And for my entire life, I have steered clear of water. Anything to do with water, but I'm like, no, thank you. Okay, I am only learning to break out of it because my son has grown up in a different culture where swimming is a skill, it's a hobby, and it's important he is adept with it. And suddenly I feel like, oh, my inadequacy is going to limit him. And for that, I have decided to change that. So we have just started. We'll see where we go. We'll see. We'll see. What am I making? I'm not making anything, Hermit. What I am just doing is teaching you some of the materials we use in cake decorating. In cake decorating, there are so many things you will learn. You learn about cake boards, cake drums, ganache discs, ganache boards, dowels. It's all important you learn to use all these things well, okay? So that you can achieve better results in cake decorating, which is why we are covering this boring subject. But I think through it, I just realized very quickly that whilst we were able to cover cake boards and cake drums and cake cards properly yesterday, for the ganache discs, I might just have to come back and do a proper demonstration just to kind of show you. And the reason why we have some looking very white and others looking clear is that the white is the protective film, as in the protective film that when you buy it, it comes covered, and then you peel the white out, and then you have the clear things. By the way, whilst we're at it, you can't use ganache boards as your cake board or cake drum. Like, you can't display a cake on it, but it will help you kind of transfer your cake. So depending on what cake I am working with, I'll work on a ganache board and then, or a ganache disc, and then transfer. Okay, so I think what I might do is I'll put all of this into writing, and then I'll put it in the community post. Big producer, how are you? Wait, don't run off. Don't run off. Say hi to the people here.
Hi, people here. I saw there's quite a few of you watching.
Yeah,
nice.
And Tapita Auntie Jackie, the big producer, says hello, right? And by the way, Tapita says you should teach her French. Another French word, please. Go ahead.
Okay, mais pas aujourd'hui. J'ai pas le temps.
Oh, did you hear that? Oh, no, we didn't hear. Come on, come and show off a bit.
Pas aujourd'hui, je n'ai pas le temps. So, not today, I don't have time.
Come again.
I said not today, I don't have time. I was just checking the board.
Yeah, come and say it again.
I see you did it with the Ravenholm thing.
Yeah, we left you a voice note. Did you hear?
No.
Check.
Okay.
Check your phone. We left you a voice note because as soon as he woke up and I read it to him and I said, "What's the answer?" He told me, and then we left you a voice note.
Awesome.
Check.
Okay.
But whilst we're at it, let's see. Before you go, Auntie Jackie
quick,
says.
I want to walk part of it from the golf course.
Auntie Jackie says. Auntie Jackie says, "I'm in love. Marry me." What do you say? Okay, how do you say "marry me" in French?
Well, she.
Go ahead.
Let me set up my own YouTube channel.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
Oh, stop showing off. Come. No, you're not going to go off. Auntie Jackie, the French man is gone. He says he wants to he will set up his own YouTube channel, and then people will come and talk to him over there. Clearly, he knows he's not doing that. He's gone, yeah? So, that's the big producer. He's gone now. So, Aunt Jackie is asking, can you use them with buttercream? Of course, yes. You can use them with buttercream. You can use them with ganache. They are very versatile. But I think I might just have to come back and demonstrate it properly for all of you. Do I yell at him in Ghanaian? Do I yell at him? Yeah, Tatiana. Do I yell at him in Ghanaian? No, because you know what? Okay, let's have a moment of confession. I used to have a very toxic trait of complaining. Can you see me hiding my face? Okay. Somehow we made our way to the table. Okay? Okay. I used to have it. Auntie Jackie says, I see you. Okay, all right. Okay, let's have it out, shall we? Let's have it out. Okay? We can all learn a thing or two because we are not yet, we are not like 20 and 22, you know. We some of us have been married, some of us have broken up, some of us are still in marriages. We are, you know what, we are working it out every day. So let's have the conversation. I used to have a very toxic trait. Okay? Did I say I used to? Okay, because we are having the conversation, I guess the presumption is that I have an awareness now that it was a toxic trait and I shouldn't do it. So I am learning to not do that anymore. But I used to have a very toxic trait. This is just a long-winded way of answering Tabitha's question. Do I yell at him in Ghanaian? Not exactly to him, but because I used to have a toxic trait of complaining to my, say, Ghanaian family members about him, I almost felt like I will talk about him in a way that I know. It was almost like I was venting in the way I knew he would never understand. I don't know if it makes sense. You know, when you call your bestie and you're shouting about your hobby and you're saying all the things you know will probably ruin your relationship and you shouldn't if you told them in their face, but then you go and you tell your friends. That is what I used to do. And I think the Lord, when I tell you the Lord is graceful, you know, his grace is enough. When I tell you, the problem is that Lollipop, let me tell you something about the big producer. You will not get even an FU from him. That man will let you stew in a dark room. You will get absolutely nothing. And I mean, he will pay you dust. My dear. He will pay you dust. And imagine for someone who is so confrontational and so toxic, who just wants to have it out. It drives me up the wall. Oh my goodness. He will give you nothing. You'll be lucky if he shot back in French or perhaps in English. He has nothing to shoot back at you. He will just look at you and leave you over there. And you and the dry walls and the dry bones in the desert can shout. Tatiana, you say it's awesome. It's a disaster. Okay, let me just leave that over here. All I'm saying is that Auntie Jackie says, shout about him behind closed doors. I shout about him to the Lord now, Jackie. That's my confession. I shout about him to the Lord. I go to the Lord on my knees and I be like, dear God, have you not seen? Have you seen what he has done? The problem is that the Lord is not going to even bother himself about him. He'll be like, it's you. And that's where we are. Okay? But yes, I don't shout to him. I used to shout to other people in Ghanaian language, but not anymore. Not anymore. Just saying. So, Auntie Jackie, I told you. Let me just tell you, I am a recovering toxic trait walking, you know. I know I don't look like it because I am over here spreading joy and love with cake. Tatiana. You know what? I think we should host a cake and when we have the Cake Villagers conference, you will hear some. I told you, the internet is so dark. Whilst I love you and I want to tell you, because you know me. Look, the thing about me is, I am such an open book. I don't mind sharing. But the internet is also a very dark place. People will twist your words. So whilst you people, I love you and I want to share things with you, it's like, let's just grow and create our own community outside of here. And then I'll tell you. But like Tatiana said, we don't scream, we don't yell unless we're cheering each other. Oh, Tatiana, where were you when I needed a friend like you? Where were you? Anyway, the Lord was gracious, and then he gifted me a friend. Who has that annoying friend? Since we are all Christian people, can we talk? Who has that friend when you go and you complain about your problems and you just want to be heard and you want them to join in and complain with you so you can all be petty together? And then you have that friend who just doesn't say anything to you. They hold space for you. They're not judging you. You know they are not judging you. And you do all the gymnastics and the drama and the fireworks and it all goes off. And then they look at you and they say, what did the Holy Spirit say? And then you're over there looking at them like, for real? Are you like... Yeah. That's where I am at. Jackie, hi. Oh, now we have two Jackies. There's Jackie D, there's Aunt Jackie. So let's be clear. When I say Jackie, it's our Aunt Jackie. And when I say Jackie D, there's Jackie D in the chat. Oh, Aunt Jackie says, I'm that friend and my besties love... Aunt Jackie? I won't be zooming you. Because I know I'm going to hate you. Okay? Tatiana. Right. So, right. So you see, we are having a real conversation. This is the thing about cakes and this, our little space here. This is us at the kitchen table. We call this at the kitchen table, okay? Where we talk about real life stuff. So we talked about the Ganache dish. Trust me, if you go back to yesterday's video, you will see a whole hour and a half we're geeking about cake cards. And today we've talked about the Ganache dish and we're talking about life and relationships, my dear. Whew. It can be awfully difficult managing those. And growth is a good thing. Growth is a good thing. But oh my God, I can tell you, you know what I know now, I wish I have had that all my life. But then that wouldn't be exciting. Because when I tell you I used to live in Egypt, you have no idea. I used to be a full-on Egyptian. And if you don't know what being an Egyptian means, it means when you didn't know the Lord and you were out here living your life and making your wrong choices over there. Okay? It was a good life though. But nothing beats living with the Lord because it's not literal, Tapeta. When I Egyptians don't come for me, okay? Your country is, I mean that metaphorically, okay? I used to live in Egypt means you just used to live in your sins and just be wild out here doing the things you shouldn't be doing. And people. But you know the thing I have learned though, okay, living on the edge of, yeah, you know what, I think sometimes it's just for dramatic effect when I say, oh, I used to live in Egypt. No, I've always been Christian and I was brought up a Christian. The difference is that my relationship with God is different to just identify myself as Christian. There are two different things. You can be Christian and not know God. You can be Christian and not fear God. You can be Christian and just reduce the concept of your faith to superstition and reducing God to a one miracle wonder. So that when you get into trouble, okay, like when you're going to lose your job, okay, we've all had those moments where you now find you've been out here living in these streets. You've never paid your tithe. You're over here contesting everything that is religious. But the moment they are trying to serve the redundancy. Oh my God, you ran to the corner there. You have suddenly found your prayer closet. You're like, Lord, please, just this one time, please. Have you done that before? Come on. I'm telling on myself, so please feel free. Seasonings, are you laughing? Has it happened to you? Come on, feel free. It's a safe space. We listen, we don't judge. Okay? Okay? We don't judge. Oh, Sophie said, I thought you might be Muslim. Yeah, I think people kind of believe I am because of the headscarf. But, you know, unless it is specifically asked of me, I don't defend it. People can make assumptions. And I don't think it's a bad or a good thing. But Sophie, yeah, I am not Muslim, right? I'm Christian. Mm-hmm. 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 You know what? Let me just read Tatiana's thought out. Tatiana says that's why it's super important to thank God. That's why it's super important to thank God in the best of times, because we usually get caught in the good moments and forget who brought us there. Can you say it out loud to the crowd? Yeah. Sophie is saying yes. It's a choice thing, but it's also a convenience thing. I've always worn scarves anyway for convenience because, you know, my hair is a little bit all over the place, and for what I do over here, it's a lot of effort to style my hair and stuff. So even during my life as a traditional worker where I had a regular day job, I always wore a scarf because it was just simple. It was just much easier for me. So it's a style thing. It's a choice thing. That's all. But yes, it doesn't reflect at all. It's not connected to being a Muslim. But I have family that is Muslim, and I have family friends who are Muslims. And it's very convenient because, say, if there were intimate family gatherings that I have to go to, it's much easier because then I can easily blend in and I don't feel very foreign with a scarf over my head at all. Yeah? So, yeah, that's... I do, but it's a lot of effort, Jack. It's so much effort to kind of like... That styling the hair alone can be a 2-hour thing, sitting there styling it, and I'm like, look, I've got here to come to, and I haven't got 2 hours to spare. But when I can, I do style it, and I've left my hair out on occasion. So yeah, we're talking about, besides the hair and scarf thing, we're saying it for those of you who are honest. Thank you for being honest. Yeah, but if you heard our sister Tatiana says it is super important to wake up and thank the Lord, because he's the person who brought us here in the first place. And one thing, if I can share this with you, one thing I have found so heartening about like walking with the Lord, I'll tell you, there is nothing that beats developing your daily relationship with the Lord, which kind of reassures you even in times of life's trials. Because the worst thing you can do is when you are reacting in prayer, right? Say when the redundancy is coming, or you are about to, if the debt letters are going to be served because you were out here living your life and you knew you were struggling. Okay, and this is not judgment. I'm just pointing out real life situations that can challenge you, and suddenly you find yourself using prayer as a reactionary tool instead of an everyday exercise. Oh God, whom am I talking to, people? Because when you wake up and you get about your life and then you get hit with the worst news and you suddenly go back to God and you're crying, it's like he's always been there. He will always be merciful. But what were you doing? Like, do you have your bearings when you are desperate? Because I have never, in my short little life on earth here, as I stand here, I have never made the best decision when I'm desperate and in wonder. Okay, my best decisions have come from a place of feeling calm, feeling reassured, feeling logical, even when the odds are against me. And it's the same for prayer. If you have to run to the Lord to manipulate him, okay, can we talk about it? The last time we were here, was it 2 days ago? We were talking about 1 Samuel 4. Can we get into it? You can go and read your Bible for reference anyway, but I'm just going to kind of pass over it. If we go back to 1 Samuel, when we go back to 1 Samuel 1, okay, 2 days ago, or the last time, not yesterday, the day before yesterday. It's Thursday. Okay, it's our last day of the week. I'm not here tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm out in town having appointments. And the weekend I'm going for swimming lesson. I'm editing. It's film week. You'll see a video on Sunday, and then we'll be back next week. So let's hang out before I go. Okay, let's just have it out. 2 days ago, we were talking about the discomfort of talking about religion and our belief system. But I mean, we're in it now. Okay, the sponsorship is out of the window. But who grants the sponsorship? It's him. So let's just do it, right? So when you are praying as a reactionary, it almost feels like God is not there. He hasn't heard you. But the funny thing is, he's always there for you. You just have decided that you're treating God like your ATM machine, or when you go and get ice cream and you put the coin in it and then you get your ice cream, and like your dispenser. Because then suddenly prayer has become your means to dispense God to do the thing you suddenly want. So let's talk about it. In 1 Samuel, when we go through 1 Samuel 1 all the way to 3, as in 1 Samuel 1, 2, and 3, when we look at that state of Israel as a nation, they had literally fallen off and gone back to their ways, doing the thing they shouldn't be doing. They disobeyed God. They lived by their own means. And even more worryingly, this is the thing that was worrying, that in past times, whilst the people would be out here doing the thing they shouldn't be doing, as in living their sins, there would be either judges or leaders who would still try to kind of toe the line. Except by the time we got to Samuel, the leaders of the house, as in the religious leaders, were sketchy too. Can we talk about Eli for a moment? Him and his children. Can you go read the Bible for reference? Him and his children. I mean, can we talk about the children were sleeping with women in the church house? Dad couldn't control the kids. And everyone was wilding out here. Okay? Samuel is over there in the detail. Then what happens? By chapter 4, they decide. Oh, let that be for a minute. By chapter 4, they decide, we're going to war. With who? Their very known enemies, the Philistines. And what happens when they go to war? They lose. Okay? Go read 1 Samuel 4. The Israelites go to war with the Philistines, and guess what they do? They lose. And the reason why they lose is preempted in chapter 2 and 3, where the Lord sends a prophet to go and tell Eli, for his disobedience, for what he has done, judgment will come to him. And in chapter 3, when God calls Samuel, God tells the same thing to Samuel. He tells Samuel that he's going to do something in Israel that every ear would tingle. So this had already been prophesied to happen. But you know the difference here? The significant thing here is that if the people were living sort of in tune with God's will, they would have known that this was coming. And what would they do? They would probably atone. And you know, we love the Old Testament God. He had no chill. Okay, he will give you judgment so straight. Like these days, people have no fear of God. Like people are out here lying in God's name. So they go to war, they lose. And what happens when they lose? If they were still attuned to God's will and his voice, what would they do? Somebody tell me. They will run back quickly and be like, Lord, you promised us that you will defeat our enemies before us, right? Why have we lost? Lord, help us. Is that not what we should be doing when things go wrong for us? As in, the first sign that the promise is not promising, what do? You go and you atone and you are remorseful and you confess your sins and you surrender. But guess what the Israelites do? They go to war against the Philistines. They lose. And they're like, oh no, let's go bring our genie. Somebody said in the chat, we make God a genie. Well, the Israelites made God a genie in chapter 4. Because what did they do? They said, oh, let's go bring the Ark of the Covenant. Who asked you to go pick up that Ark? Who? Like, who sent you? Did you go and inquire of the Lord? Because we know there's precedent in the Bible where every time the people of Israel were going to war, they either inquired of the Lord or there was a prophecy about the sort of war they were undertaking. But the people had lost their connection with God. So they were living out here wild. So what did they do? They lost a war. They decided that they were going to make God a genie, and the ark that represents him, they were going to drag it and they were going to take it to the war field to ensure that God will miraculously make them win. Well, I hate to ruin it for you. They lost. And then they lost the ark too. That's a whole different story that will develop in chapter 5. But the lesson here today is, because we're talking about our relationship with God and prayer and how we should approach God. The lesson here, if you don't take anything from here today, is to know that whilst God is merciful and he's graceful and he does all these things for us and he promises us good things and great things, he's not there to pander to our will because we desire him to. That's all. Yeah. Jackie says, who gave you permission? I guess that's the question we should be asking ourselves when we are making the choices that are in contradiction with God's will. Because if we pray and we ask his will, he will make a way for us. But most of the time, we want the job we want because there's dollar signs. I mean, that promotion is good, right? What is it going to cost us? Just asking the question. Good vibes. Good vibes, you're back. My dear, good vibes, you're visiting. Oh, Lord. You know what? I think the responsibility to say I'm preaching it's a heavy one. I think I'm just sharing what I have been reading, as in where I am at. This is where I am at. Like the sort of thought-provoking Bible study that challenges you to kind of see God in your everyday life and challenges you to be a present and engaged Christian or child of God, instead of just using Christian as a form of identity and also living by your own will and doing my dear. All I'm saying is that the Lord is graceful. Believe me, if you believe and you run to God, even with your bloodied hands, he will forgive, he will save you, he will give you grace. But this is what the Lord won't do. He will not be manipulated to come along your whims because you desire him. Okay? And he is not tempted to show up just because you went and lived your life wild and high and desired him in that moment to show up. And just because he didn't show up, because he knows better and he didn't show up in that moment, we perpetuate this belief that why did God not hear me? The truth is God does what God wants to do. And a good Christian, or a mature, not a good one, a mature Christian will understand that even in the depths of life's trials and challenges, you can't question him. And that's it. That's all. Go read the book of Samuel. If we know nothing about our present situation, the culture we are in, the challenges that are facing our faith and everything else, just go sit in Samuel a little bit and it will give you context, because those days are very, very clear in these modern times where parents are having to battle whether they even want to school their children in like formal settings or at home settings, because their faith and values are being, there's a lot going on in our world, right? And whilst we seek peace in all of that, the most important thing is to seek the will of God too. And I say that with a heavy heart, because I kind of feel like the moment these words fall out of my mouth, the target is set on my back, and I'll be like, Lord, now I'm out here. Oh dear. Oh, look, people, let's just say a prayer and thank Lord for Thursday. And Tatiana, go have a good day, my love. Continue to win. We'll be here cheering you on and praying for you, okay? And my dear, whew, how did we end up here? Gladys, you were supposed to come and make cakes. This one. That's all. Okay? I was supposed to just stand here and make cakes. How did we end up here? I think I need to go. Whoo, seasonings. When you go on your knees and you start praying, you better be saying, Lord, you know, that sister out there that is making the cakes, whatever your plans are for her, protect her. Because so when I finish these conversations, when it veers into this part, I have these conversations are very present in my life, okay? The people around me, the people around me are prayer people, okay? When I pick the phone to my sister, even my mom, and I'm complaining about my life, she's like, you know, my mom has a quotation for everything. And I have a sister who has a quotation for everything. And sometimes I'm like, can you hear me? I just want to be petty. So this conversation is not unusual for me at all, okay? What is unusual for me is declaring it public. That is really scary, okay? Because I like to just blend that part of me in here, okay? I do not want to preach to you. I do not want to talk to you about what I believe in, okay? I just want to come and show you cake and go on, and I just want to be cute. And then the Holy Spirit says, no. Okay, so here we are. Okay, so fear the Lord and do good. That's all. And you know what fear the Lord is? Fear the Lord really means fear the Lord. Because if you go back to Samuel chapter 3, there were men of God who didn't fear the Lord. And their actions and their fruits showed it. So all I'm saying is fear the Lord and do good. That's all. Aunt Jackie. Right now, I want to be a Jonah. I want to jump into a boat. Aunt Jackie, I want to jump into a boat. There couldn't be a better shark, a bigger one that I won't happily succumb to being swallowed. Believe me, because the floor in my kitchen here, I want it open and I want it to swallow me, and I don't want to show my face here tomorrow. I almost feel the sentiment of Moses. You know, Moses and his excuses when he was called, and he's like, but you know, and Moses battled his way through for good reason. It's a hard task to have to declare the Lord in public. Whew. God, because it's a good vibe. You're asking why? Because in the culture and the day we are in, it's not comfortable. But I guess that's the whole point of it. Because you don't serve him for your comfort, is it? Huh, my people. You came for cake. Well, this is cake for your soul, okay? This is cake for your soul. So we eat cake and then we discuss the Lord and we live by his word, okay? So we will not be making this into a full-on Bible study session, but I encourage you, if you almost feel disheartened by the state of our culture now in 2025 and you just want a reset, go sit with Samuel 1 Samuel, read all the way through, and you will see. Like I don't know, well, I know how I ended up there because I have some contention in my heart. Remember, I am a recovering complainant. I am a recovering complainant. So the Lord literally told me, go sit here. And I think in chapter 1, when you see how Hannah handled the sort of attack she felt in her life, we could all pick a book out of Hannah's story. The sort of contention she must have felt that her husband has another wife and the wife has children and she can't have a child and she feels attacked, and yet what does she do? She goes and prays. A lesson on all of what we can do. Tabitha, you came for cake and then you had cake to feed your spirit. But anyway, that is just by the way, okay? Can someone order? Can someone check with Jonah? You know what? As much as what you see is a discomfort I feel, honestly, because I am not used to professing the Lord publicly. This is new for me. I don't know how we got here, but I love Bible stories, even in their like very raw form. I love the drama of Bible stories. And I like to kind of animate them in my head. Like, can someone go and ask Jonah, how did you get to the boat? Because I need a boat. I need a boat. I need to flee. Like, literally, I need to run. Oh, Lord. Lollipop says, I prayed for my second baby for years after trying. Oh, Lollipop, wow. Okay. I guess she was a miracle then, an answered prayer for you. You know what? Good vibes. You know what? Jonah didn't know he will end up in the belly of the whale. But I have the insight of knowing that even though he entered the belly of the whale, because the mission of the Lord was bigger than the crisis that met him midway, it all worked out. So even if I ask for a bigger whale, all I'm asking, this time I'm just asking, the whale should swallow me and not attempt to grind its teeth and chew me, because that will present a whole different outcome. She's trying your patience. Look, Lollipop, being a parent isn't the easiest thing. It doesn't come easy. It doesn't come natural. But this is what I can share with you as a parent, okay? I think what you will not find on the internet is the true representation of what parenting is like. You have one faction that is purporting gentle parenting, and the other faction that is saying that is in contrast to gentle parenting. And there's like, here's what I find has worked for me. And mind you, I have a very unsettled spirit. I'm just putting it out there. I wake up, not anymore, but I say not anymore. I take that back. That is tied to my complaining spirit. So I am in recovery. I'm just owning it, right? I would wake up anxious. I would wake up like worried. I would wake up like I was operating from a place of survival for a very long time. And if you do, it affects how you parent. You are very short with patience. You find the whole parenting hard. And it can be very challenging, especially when you put into your peripherals how once upon a time you desired a child. And if we are to believe children are blessings, you find yourself in this place of contention where you are feeling as though you are not appreciating the blessing that you should be appreciating. Meanwhile, the reality is that you are caught in the raw moments of your everyday as a parent who is just trying your best through life's struggles. And I find this will be very boring. The thing that has helped me is close my eyes, say a little prayer on the inside. Oh, you want to see me in the morning when that boy is not trying to put his school clothes on? Ish. But you close your eyes. You're not like, it's not like everything you're praying, but no, there is a calming. There is something so calming about being able to kind of just tap into an inner you to say, you know what, it's going to be all right. Even if it's not all right. And then you push through. Even if you're making look, let me tell you the secret behind the cup of tea. I love tea, but the tea came from a place of trying to keep myself and my spirit calm. Okay? I walk out of the mess that I'm dealing with to come and make myself a cup of tea so that I can feel better. Okay? So, Lollipop, be kind to yourself. And here's the thing. Perhaps she was an answered prayer, but not how you imagined. You see, that's the thing. Our imagination or our expectation of what should be will always try to take away from the blessing that is in front of us. Okay? So that is not to take away maybe the difficulty you might be feeling as a parent. That is completely valid. Parenting is hard. Full stop. It is hard. But let's not speak or validate our helplessness in that situation. I'm just trying to encourage your spirit to say, Lollipop, you birthed that child, okay? You have done right by that child every day of her life till now, okay? Whatever you think is great, good or bad, there is no bad, there is only good, because your child is alive, you are still here, and you are pushing it. So keep going, my dear. That's all. My darling, that's all. You spend more time with them. Like, oh, like I told you, I have to almost like, there's like a little switch in my brain that is reminding me you're on the internet. You're on the internet. There are things I can't tell you, sis. But believe me when I say, I know parenting is hard. Those on the internet are either trying to sort of make this whole thing like, what are they trying to do? They're trying to make it a book version, like therapy. My dear, some mornings, oh, I think you should, Lollipop. You should, because some mornings, I love routine. When my routine is disrupted, I am like a demon. Okay, when I'm like, we need to shoot out of this house at 8 o'clock, and you do not get ready by 8, that's like you are going to see fireworks, Gladys. The Lord is healing that part of me. Okay, I'm just saying. The Lord is healing that part of me. But I'm telling you, you think children are out here trying to please you? They will test every limit of you. And if that voice in your head is not one that is attuned with God's will for you, you will break. You know, where that voice is loudly saying, you lost it at your child. You are such a horrible parent. And which parent? And that voice is so loud because good mothers are the worst critics of themselves, because you want to do right by this child. You wake up every day, you give your absolute best. But there's a critic in your head that is reminding you that your best is still short because you were human in a moment. You were a human in a moment of frustration, in a moment of just trying to correct a child, but not in the way that you perceive should be right. Okay. All I'm saying is, Lollipop, I'm sending you hugs. Whatever you think is bad over there, it's not as bad as you may think, honestly. Believe me when I say, especially when it comes to parenting. Anything about life, it's neither here nor there. Sometimes your situation may still feel worse for you in that moment, and that's okay, right? But find a safe space where you can kind of tap in. My safe space is the real people in my life. When people say, go out and touch grass, I live in the grass every day, because I have sisters who will look at me and be like, Bish, stop that nonsense, and smack my head back to life. And suddenly I'm like, what the hell? Okay, that's all. And if you don't have that community around you, I hope you find that community over here. Okay? Good vibes. Yeah, you know, sometimes when people on the internet, like, please, let me say this out loud. Hello. This just went all the way left. I'm telling you, the internet is... Okay. Let me... This is the part where if I had glasses, I'll put them on just to tell you how serious this is. Okay? Exercise discernment when you are on the internet. No matter how wise, including me, no matter how wise somebody may sound, exercise wisdom and discernment and know that the internet is not your best place to come and seek real life information. Here's an example I'll give you. In modern times, Mark, I'll tell you this. I hate TikTok, okay? I said it. I hate TikTok. Because TikTok is the place where you will find any and everything. And some days I'm like, can someone just moderate this chaos? And over there in TikTok, guess what I found one of these days? A girl who unalived their manager. And I'm talking, we are censoring the language here. I would love to tell you as it is, but let's stay on course, right? A girl goes to work and unalives her manager who works at a McDonald's. This story is all over TikTok or on the internet. Go find it. Please do yourself a favor and drop in the comment section and see the comments people were giving to this girl, validating her actions. And she has unalived someone's mother, a mother of 6 children. Now tell me why anyone in the comments, I do not care. I'm getting animated. Gladys, breathe. Breathe. Okay. I'm going to breathe. Okay. Now tell me why anyone, like, I am an internet person now. You're watching me now. There's nearly 9,000 of you. So I am part of that group of people who exist on the internet in some form. Here's what I'll tell you. When I say go out and touch grass, none of this here. This is real for me, which is why you see the discomfort, the part where I'm like, breathe, because I'm exercising real human emotion and ability to communicate whilst also filtering what may just not be appropriate, because all of those things are happening whilst I'm delivering the information to you. And I exercise the same ability when this camera goes off and I'm on the internet. If I chanced into a video that is not my taste, I block, I'm moving on. Okay? If someone is saying something that is true, even sometimes say Bible study or something like appropriate, I still look at it, move on. Okay? Nothing will make me go and sit on the internet. The only engagement I have on the internet, believe you me, are within this ecosystem between you and I and anyone in the proximity of our relationship here. You won't find me anywhere else. You won't. Okay? Because that's an intentional choice. Because the internet is a dark place. Someone tell me why anybody will think someone picking up a phone to record themselves venting about how their manager was bullying them and whatever the story is, and they feel justified to come and say on the internet and to address that, and for some idiots to be in the comment section going, yes, you know what, the internet is such a dark place for people to bleed their bad form. So here's something to tell you. Exercise. If you do not have the ability to exercise wisdom, I'm not talking common sense, because these days common sense has become relative or subjective as far as people are concerned. Depending on where you sit on your on the spectrum and your values, common sense is not common. I'm talking wisdom, and we know where wisdom comes from. If you do not have the ability to seek wisdom and exercise discretion, please switch off your phone and go and live with normal, regular, everyday folk. Like, go find somebody's grandma that is over 80 years old that lived in real harsh times and let them teach you that. Because I don't understand how anybody can go into a comment section to validate any reason why someone unalived another human being. I point that out to say, if you brought your marriage problems to the internet, even when you are wrong and foul about your actions, and let's not start perpetuating this thing where we think marriages are perfect. Marriages are not perfect. Relationships, and it takes work, it takes grace, it takes choice. It's a lot of work. But if you brought your toxic habits that had your partner challenging you to the internet and you painted yourself the victim, believe me, you'll have everyone in your comment section validating how you are right and you should leave the marriage. And you will leave the marriage because some idiot who doesn't have an experience about life told you to do that. And fast forward 6 years down the line, 10 years down, you are lonely, you are old, you haven't learned, you lack wisdom, your life is in shambles, and you will still be blaming somebody because you didn't exercise the common ability of knowing how to exercise wisdom and discernment and where to seek it out. But you came on the internet to seek what? Validation. The validation of man will always lead where? To your death. That's all. It's Happy Thursday, people. I'm gone. I'll see you later. Goodbye. All right. Have a good day. I finished. See you on Tuesday. Okay. I just came and ruined your day on the internet. Okay.